I'm Sarah from The Upcoming, and I'm here with my colleague Ambra, and we've been covering the 75th Cannes Film Festival in beautiful, beautiful France. It's been a pretty long week, so we're kind of hanging on by a thread right now. But we are going to try and do a bit of a summary of our experience here and tell you some of our highlights, some of the films we've loved, also some of the best moments from the red carpet, and also some of the funny things that have happened to us along the way. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct, Sarah.
Right, let's kick off. So, best film. What do you think, Ambra? What's been your best film you've seen?
So definitely my best film was the Cronenberg movie. I know, right? Crimes of the Future, and has been like conflictual reviews. Some people said it was a bit too slow, that it was too intimate, that it needed like a little bit more backstory. I personally loved it. So anyway, let's see what they said.
I had quite a few that I did really love, actually. I think that Triangle of Sadness has been kind of divisive by Ruben Östlund. I mean, all of his movies are a little bit mental, and this is no exception. It did get described to me one moment in it as like The Shining, but with shit, which, even though I had that to prepare me, still didn't prepare me for what I saw. And it was just incredibly funny, and everyone was gasping and laughing all the way through. So that was a definite highlight for me. Other moments that I really liked in terms of the films, Jesse Eisenberg's directorial debut, when he finished Saving the World, starring the wonderful, wonderful Julianne Moore. I think she can just do no wrong, so I really enjoyed that. And Rebel, which was from the directors that did Bad Boys for Life. And this was one of their most personal films to date. I guess, you know, one way to describe it is I felt like I've been hit by a train when I came out of the cinema, because it was, you know, depicting in incredible detail the experience of being kind of groomed by Islamic State and all the sort of like horrific things that can happen along the way. But it was incredibly eye-opening and incredibly touching. So that's definitely some of my highlights.
For me, the best competition film was Decision to Leave by Park Chan-wook. I really felt that it had an interesting story, but it was also daring and experimental in the way certain things were shot. I just feel it's a very deserving title to even win the Palme d'Or. Spike Lee last year was a bit of a wild card, which, as we know, got current jury president Marcel Lindau elected by awarding Titan. But I really feel that this year it's going to be a more traditional choice. But a friend recently pointed out that statistically speaking, whenever the Marcel Lindau is the jury president at a film festival, a Kelly Reichardt film will win. So I guess we'll see if that statistic pans out tonight.
This is maybe a bit brutal, but should we talk a little bit about worst film, or maybe just the worst experience we had?
Let's do it.
What are you going to say?
Definitely Hate Mountains. It was the longest and probably the longest. It's a very, like, it's about basically a very long-term friendship since childhood, and you just there waiting in the in the middle of the mountains, in the middle of nowhere, and you're just waiting for something to happen, and nothing does.
I have to admit, I'm actually going to have to back you up on that one. I mean, just to put it into context, sometimes we're watching these films at 10:30 at night after being working since the crack of dawn. So going in for a over 2-hour movie at that time probably isn't the best setup. But I also perhaps didn't find myself that engrossed in it. It's based on a book, and I think it's very beautifully put together. But unfortunately, it felt like it was going to go somewhere that it just didn't. I mean, I don't think we were the only ones that were expecting some kind of Brokeback Mountain storyline to emerge, which it never did. So I think we were reading too much into the homoerotic subtext.
The worst film of the competition was Stars at Noon. I'm very sorry to say that I just can't connect with Claire Denis' latest work, because it was the same thing at the Berlinale with her film also starring Vincent Lindau, which just kept going on and on. It was just endless blabbing, and it felt very much the same with Stars at Noon. I mean, telling somebody you love them without there being any proof to it, any showing it, it's just lazy writing. Because if the emotions are real, you feel them. You're supposed to feel them in a film. You're supposed to see them portrayed through actions and not just, reiterate it without actually knowing if there's any truth to what they're being told. But another low point was definitely Elvis. Considering the high budget, the cast even, like to not deliver in any shape or form, that's always disappointing.
Okay, and so moving on. Well, I've been busy doing a lot of interviews while I've been here, so I guess I can talk about some of my highlights. Although I didn't have a one-on-one with her, but I did get a moment in a room with Lea Seydoux, who I have a massive girl crush on, and she was in a beautiful film, One Fine Morning, where she said she played her most normal role to date, and it's just very moving. It kind of puts into contrast her father, who's suffering from an illness which is affecting his memory, into contrast with her kind of falling in love, which I think is kind of a unique juxtaposition, and you wouldn't expect there to be moments of joy and levity, but actually they are. It's just also quite funny. So that was amazing. And also we spoke to Louis Garrel, didn't we?
We did, and I even took to his portraits actually. I think it was like a very long week for him too, so he was a bit tired. However, like he gave us like a lot of insights about his film and especially like his connection to French and Italian movies. But Sarah can tell you more because she talked with him.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell if he was a little bit grumpy or he was just smouldering. But yeah, he definitely gave us some wonderful insights into his film, which I think is his fourth film that he's directed and also acted in, The Innocent. And talking about how, in all those different films, he's kind of expressing maybe different alter egos of himself. And also talking about his influences and growing up, in a kind of actor background. I think he's been acting in films since he was very young. So that was really quite a wonderful moment. And he's also
Well, we all remember him from The Dreamers, right?
So that's our moment. And of course, we also got to speak to Lee Jun-jae, who I think most people are going to know from Squid Game, which of course was a roaring success and kind of put Korean TV and cinema on the map. Also in the wake of Parasite, and he's actually directed his first film, which he also acts in, and that was like a real high velocity ride. I mean, it reminded me a bit of Tenet in terms of like the production values, but also just kind of the constant twists and some amazing stunts that he did there with his co-star, and they were really great to interview, weren't they?
Yes, they were amazing also. We took some amazing portraits, quite creative, which I won the photo festival competition for Cannes. So that was the highlight of the moment, apart from lots of red carpets and seeing celebrities running by. Obviously, it always gives you like a little bit of heart attack when you see like your favorite celebrity, basically your favorite actor, and you feel close to him. But yes, definitely we did also some intimate portraits, and the interview was also really interesting as well.
And on that note, you've been absolutely killing it with your photos on the red carpet. I mean, just an absolute, influx. Every day we get of these beautiful moments, always capturing sort of like the funny bits, let's say, or the sweet emotional moments. So what was your favourite bit, or favourite picture you took actually on the red carpet?
I think there was a very actually political moment which I didn't capture, unfortunately. But there was basically a woman, an activist against Russia, so like protesting against rapes in Ukraine, and she got completely undressed, naked, with painting and writing all over her body, and she started screaming in the middle of the red carpet, so that everybody went bonkers and started covering her up, and she was escorted out. But she needed to be, or maybe she should have been able to walk? That's actually a big question, right?
I was lucky enough to get to interview Chie Hayakawa for Planet 75. And I mean, I think an interview experience is always best when you have a genuine connection to the film, and you are just authentically curious to know more about the process behind it. Same thing was actually with Marie Kreutzer in an interview with for Corsage. I mean, as I'm from Austria as well, there's this obvious connection that the cultural connection to Sissi. So that was also quite interesting.
Well, I think we're probably going to start wrapping up there, and maybe we could just take a moment to just think back on our whole experience here. I mean, as we said at the beginning, been a bit of a whirlwind, only a few hours sleep every night. So working hard, playing hard. I think for me, the moment I really felt like I was in Cannes was on one of the first nights, the Top Gun premiere. And I remember just trying to walk through the crowds and just, hundreds and hundreds of these incredibly beautiful people in tuxedos and ball gowns and cocktail dresses, and the glitz and the glamour of this festival. I mean, if you compare it to London or Berlin, it's on another level. And even for that premiere, I mean, they had the fighter jets flying overhead, and of course moments with Tom Cruise. So it really, I think that's what makes Cannes. And then of course there's all the other smaller moments you have along the way. But I think just being here and feeling a part of that, especially post-pandemic, being in the cinemas, watching, with so many people who are not just even regular cinema goers, these are proper film fans, cinephiles, film geeks. So there's just something really great about not only watching it with those people, but also, doing all the debriefs and dissecting it afterwards. What about for you?
Well, definitely for me, it was not my first time in Cannes, so I knew what it was. But everybody was a bit concerned about pandemic and how it would have affected, and actually came back super strong, super powerful. People are just happy to be around. We are also glorious week with the weather, so that we were extremely lucky, I guess. It's a very, very long time that we waited for something like this to actually let our hair down and be able to enjoy and to see entertainment and to have culture actually, dominating our life again.
My favorite moment in total at the festival was the masterclass with Mads Mikkelsen, hands down. Because up until the very last minute, I didn't know if I was going to be allowed to even be in the screening room. Then one of Mads' delegation apparently didn't show up because they removed one of the reserved seats in the front row, and that's how I got to sit in the first row for the masterclass with Mads Mikkelsen. And just, going from this disappointed, oh my god, I'm not gonna make it into the room, to hey, I'm right in front of him. It's just the stars aligned for this one, definitely. The funniest moments for me at the festival actually had less to do with the festival and more with the fact that the four of us that were reporting were just running around all day and had different schedules, and so we rarely had time off at the same time. And whenever, just three of us could make it in, but the fourth person was occupied, our editor would lovingly Photoshop the person into the image so we could have a group photo together. Funnily enough, I just recently realized that our little icon for the group chat had the same thing with Val Kilmer, so Iceman was always there with us in spirit.
I think that's it from us, but head to our website. You've got to check out all the amazing reviews from our colleagues Selina and Andy, and of course the pictures from Ambra, and check out some of the interviews that we're going to put up on our YouTube page. And let's look out who are going to be the winners. We're all waiting with bated breath. Thanks so much.